someone trying to stifle their laughs. And you think it's possibly a few.
Seeing all the commotion in the kitchen, I look at my spoon and see if it's alive too.
You look at your spoon, it's a spoon. The commotion in the kitchen dies down and just turns into just ouroarious laughter. All the pots and pans have been dropped, and it's just full-blown laughter. Jolly laughter, too.
Someone's joking us.
Well, then you go in first.
Fine. I enter very cautiously.
As soon as you open the door, all the laughter stops, and a few gasps are heard as a single pot falls to the floor.
Do I see anyone?
The kitchen seems to be empty. Daniel, are you still out in the dining hall?
Yes.
Okay, roll a d20 for me, Ivory.
Ivory?
Two.
It was like I landed on a weird edge.
A 2.
Yeah.
You can't notice a darn thing, but you know for sure something is in here or something's controlling those pots. It's probably in here.
I am going to poke around and see if I can find anything.
Alright, roll another perception.
I'm tired of being punked with.
Skaith, you now notice that the kitchen has gone quiet as Ivory's entered the
16.
kitchen. With that 16, you manage to hear, "Don't move," whispered from behind your back. Skaith?
Talking to me?
I enter the kitchen.
You go to the kitchen to find it is just as quiet as ever. Everything has been dropped to the floor. Ivory's kind of wandering around looking for something.
Who's here? Who just told me not to move? Why am I moving if they just told me not to move? I'm sure they had a good reason. I might want to stand somewhere.
Skaith, you have no idea what she's talking about.
Whatever happened, this kitchen was quite lively. You're quite the joy kill, aren't you?
Skaith, roll perception.
12.
Alright, you hear it as well. You hear a, "Shh, don't move, he'll see you," from behind you. Very whispered, very muffled.
Is that pot still near the door?
There is a big soup pot sitting by your feet at the door. It's got a good dent in it.
I pick it up and throw it behind me.
Well, you throw it behind you, it clatters off the kitchen door, and you hear a short eep. Ivory, are you happen to be looking at his general direction? Like, would you happen to have been looking behind him?
Yes.
Okay, you watch him throw the pot. You happen to see this blur behind him. This blur of reality shift around where the pot was thrown, and then it dissipates. Like the haze looking through like a very hot hood of a car. Just this figure of a blur that kind of jolts from away from the pot and then just kind of dissipates and back to normal nothingness.
I have an idea. Is there any flour or anything near me?
You're not for sure, but you believe you could possibly find it in this kitchen. It is a kitchen of a noble's mansion.
As unsuspiciously as I can, I start hunting around for flour or pepper or something that will make anything invisible visible.
You start rooting around, and you really find nothing more than just the upturned pots and pans. Skaith, you noticed there was a door to the pantry back out in the dining hall, and from the map.
Yeah, I'm just gonna start heading back out since obviously to me nothing's here.
Well, you heard the eep behind you.
Yeah, well, they could have moved.
Determined that these are invisible things, I go to I start looking around for somewhere where there might be, food and things of that manner.
From the map you saw there is a pantry offset to the dining hall, which will probably have things like flour or
That's
pepper.
where I'm going to head.
You go to the pantry and it doesn't take you too long before you find whatever you're looking for.
Flour.
A nice bag of flour.
I'm gonna look insane, but I'm gonna take the big bag of flour and take it with me.
Alright, Skaith, she's told you something about invisible people. That's about all you got. As she goes back into the kitchen.
What exactly are you even planning on doing?
If I see it again, I'm gonna cover it in flour so we know what the fuck it is. So we know what it is.
Just hand me that bag.
No.
Hand me the bag.
No.
Trust me.
Fine. I hand him my bag of flour.
Roll to hand him the bag of flour.
16.
You hand her the bag of flour.
Are you there?
Yeah. You roll to hand him the bag of flour.
I did. I rolled a 16.
And you hand him the bag of flour.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna open up the bag of flour
Mm-hmm.
and then just throw it all over the place.
You want to start tossing it all over the place, get flour, a good dusting on everything.
Yeah, haphazardly.
Like, do you want to just, like, kind of rip this bag open and start shaking the bag like you're shaking a rug out, or do you want to, like, gently start sprinkling flour on things?
I just want to start throwing handfuls of flour around.
Okay. Your first dot of flour just goes across the kitchen. Second dot, poof! It just sticks in midair. Just like you've hit something invisible.
Now we're getting somewhere.
See? I told you.
It's right in between the two of you.
I just look at it and say, if you're sentient, care to explain what's going on?
No.
Fair enough, I draw my knife.
I pull out my rope and I try to figure out how the heck to tie this thing up.
Both of you roll, d20 for me.
4.
Good.
17.
Okay. Ivory, unfortunately, you get a little bit of disadvantage because you're on the opposite side of the kitchen. Daniel's, like, at the door. Daniel, whatever this is, like, charges you and just, poof, this flour goes everywhere as whatever this is just mows you down and bolts out of the kitchen door.
Well, good thing is, the flour is now everywhere.
Through a poof of flour, there's a good set of footprints leading out of the door. With this flour explosion, everything is just enclosed in a plume of flour.
I dust myself off and start following him.
I follow behind him.
Alright, the footprints lead just at the far end of the dining hall back to where it looks like where Ivory had the spoon. Ivory, roll me a d20 real quick.
10.
Alright, through this flour, I will give you a little bit of disadvantage. You bump into something in this just smoke of flour, and kind of, you don't fall prone, but it knocks you back a step or two as you run into something behind you, like now you're being pushed around by something in this flour-covered kitchen, and you can't tell what it is.
I pull out my little sword, or my little dagger, trying to poke around, see if I can try to get him to stop, try and break free.
You look down at the kitchen floor and you now see footprints that are kind of 3 distinct footprints that are kind of dancing around you now. You can now tell, Skaith as well, you can tell that these are rounded footprints with 3 predominant toes. Whatever this is has 3 toes and is not wearing shoes.
Well, that means it's not human, which means it's not anything, or not, well, not human, but...
From what Sabric has told you, you guys can pretty much tell that these are probably these invisible kobolds that he was talking about.
Let's try and kill him.
Ivory, you start stabbing around as these things are kind of dodging you, but you can now tell where they're at by their footprints. Skaith, go!
I want to swing my short sword in a vertical. pattern. That way they can't dodge to the left or right.
Alright, you were hot on the heels of this thing.
Horizontal.
Okay. Roll d20.
17.
Alright. You flail this thing as hard as you can. Unfortunately, the small drift of flour dust off the back of this, you only nick this thing, but it does not seem to stop its stride as it kind of rounds the table and starts heading back towards the kitchen on the wall side. You can now tell that this is a kobold as this thing is covered in flour.
I give up on my little dagger and I pull my pig maul out and just start swinging that thing around.
Roll a d20.
19.
Crack! You smack one of them right upside the head. You hear a clatter as you sit this thing flying across the kitchen. You hear the two other ones that were behind you clamber past you and vault out of the kitchen. Skaith, as you were chasing this flour-covered kobold back towards the pantry, you see two more of them run out of the pantry back towards the main hallway you just came in from.
I go chasing after the two. No, I make sure the one that I smacked is dead.
You go over to where you think it landed, and you see the imprint of where it has landed, but it's not there. You have lost it.
I chased after the two I couldn't see leaving.
You make it towards the kitchen doors. You see Skaith and this other kobold rounding around, about to come your way towards the pantry.
Smack him!
I go ahead and I swing my pig maul at the one he's chasing towards me.
Oh, you want to, like...
Clothesline him.
Yeah. Roll it.
Pretty much. Am I supposed to roll it?
Yeah, roll it. Gotta beat 10. Kobolds are 10, I'll give you that.
12.
12.
Alright, you manage to just barely stop him as you see him try to stop as he notices you. You clock him right upside the head and knock him to the side. You're both over top of him.
And we can see him because he's so...
Oh yeah,
right?
he's not fully covered, but yeah, you can see him.
Okay, I'm going to try and tie him up.
Alright, you haul him to his feet and you bound him. This little lizard man wriggles and struggles. Let me go!
Let you go. We just have one question. Where were the guests from last night?
I don't know. Master's got him.
Who's your master?
None of your business, he says, and he hisses at you.
Well, it is my business because we've been hired to retrieve the guests.
You see him get a very wizened look as he's about to, like he's judging his answer, if he's going to say anything. What makes you think I'll talk?
Because we weren't hired to kill anything. We're just here to rescue the guests. However, killing you and everyone else here would be a much-needed bonus. Or a much-welcomed bonus.
You don't have the guts. He kind of flaunts at you guys.
At this point, I say we just kill him and don't give him the chance. Irritating little mongrel.
Gets a twinge of worriedness look to him, and you see like a single bead of sweat start wiping away this flour. You're bluffing.
I'm a dwarf. I don't bluff.
I just get out my favorite dagger.
Ooh, is that the disintegrating one?
Go to the pantry, grab a piece of bread. I'll show him.
Ah, okay. I do as I'm told.
I stab the bread.
The bread disintegrates into just vapor, nothingness. His eyes glow wide, and a look of shock goes over this kobold. What do you want?
Just let us know where your master is or the guests. We're only here to get the guests.
They don't know where they are. They travel around the house.
Can you at least tell us why you guys are here?
The master just told us he had a job for us to do, and he said he would reward us.
And my biggest question, last question, from me. How can you guys turn invisible?
Skaith, roll a d20.
13.
Alright, as soon as you answer that question, you now realize that this kobold is wearing some sort of mask. It's got flowers strewn on it as well. He reaches up and pulls this little, what you think is a mask off, and bam, the kobold is instantly visible. Feebly holds up this little eye mask up to you. This!
Can I see it real quick?
Holds it up feebly to you as you are holding a dagger that has just disintegrated a piece of bread.
I take the mask and put it on.
You put the mask on, you've got flour on your fingers and flour on your face a little bit now. You've put the mask on and nothing happens. You don't see anything special through it. It's just a mask. Ivory, you notice that he is just sitting here wearing a mask. He is not turned invisible.
Is there any special property? Does it only work for you guys, or?
I don't know. Master gave it to us. He said it would work when we put it on.
Okay, fair enough. I'm gonna hold on to this mask.
Can you tell us the general idea of where your master might be?
I think he's upstairs, but you're never gonna get past him. He's well above you.
That's fine. Now one last thing. I'm gonna let you go, but don't go informing your master. You're covered in flour. We'll know which one you are.
Well, so are the others, he says.
Not as much as you are. And you also don't have a mask anymore. If we find you up there, you'll be my first target.
Master will stop you anyways.
Why can't I just kill him now?
I won't stop you.
I look at him. Don't tell me to kill you.
He is floundering for words. He is just in shock.
You may be able to think he's bluffing, but I promise you I am not. You have gotten on my nerves. If you tell your master, I will make sure you are the first one to die.
I don't need to tell my master. He already knows you're here.
Oh yes, but he doesn't know we know where he is.
But how do you know where he's at? I didn't tell you.
You just told us he was upstairs.
Well, that's vague. This is a mansion.
Okay, fine. I'll just keep you with me and you can tell me which room he's in. Or I can kill you. Take your pick.
To which you both hear another large commotion coming from the kitchen, which sounds more like gurgling now.
I bet you they're getting weapons.
Do you know what's going on in the kitchen? I asked the kobold.
Master knows you're here.
I suggest we vacate the kitchen back to the atrium. Or vacate the dining hall.
I think so too, but I'm taking him with me.
So long as I
Dead.
Roll a d20 to try and grab this guy as he'll struggle to try to get free from...
20 and 11.
Who got 20?
I got the 20.
Okay. You get a good hold of this. Skaith, as you stand up, he kind of wriggles away from you. Roll a d20 as he is trying to drag you towards the kitchen now.
We both scored 8.
8?
8.
Alright, this kobold's got a lot of fight in him. He kind of both starts yanking you towards the kitchen. As this, whatever this bubbling sound in the kitchen, it starts to have a bit of a ethereal groan to it.
I just stab him with the dagger and get it over with.
Oh, jeez, where do you stab him?
In the back.
Seriously, was that necessary?
Knife goes right into him. He drops to his knees, but though his hands are still behind him, he's still trying for this kitchen.
Finish him off.
No, the little guy didn't do anything. I was just threatening him. I wasn't actually gonna kill him.
I finish him off.
How?
I just take my sword, and now that he's on his knees, I just decapitate him.
As a kobold head goes rolling across the
Anything.
dining hall carpet, staining it red or blue or whatever the blood is. To which the kitchen door bursts off its hinges and embeds itself into the far side wall of the dining hall. A very large flour-coated ooze starts mushing out from the kitchen, like the blob fashion.
I'm not dealing with ooze again. We run.
Where do you run to?
The main atrium.
You head back to the dining hall, doors that leads back into the star hallway. This blob is billowing out of the kitchen. This thing is some sort of, ethereal flower creature now that has formed itself in the kitchen. It is spilling out of the kitchen. It does not look too particularly sentient, but this thing is probably not nice.
I want to see what my magic amulet does.
You want to summon a weapon?
No, the little thing that I found that
Oh,
I
your little amulet. Yes, yes, yes. You give it a once over. You believe it has some sort of ice property.
I'm gonna try and use it on the flower blob and see what it does.
Well, how do you want to use it? How do you want to try it?
Point and pray.
Roll a d20.
10.
Alright, you point a finger, and nothing happens.
I'm gonna try and... Is there any way I can attach it to my pickmole?
You believe this thing would probably have enough magic in the back of it to just slap it onto your maul and it would stick to it.
Okay, I want to do that, and then I want to try and strike the thing with my pickmole and see if that what that does.
Alright, you don't even have to roll for it. Roll for damage.
4!
Alright, you just go straight up to the edge of this flowering blob and strike it as hard as you can with the now embedded amulet with your maul. You strike this blob, your hammer goes through it like you literally just smacked a giant, pile of flour. Your hammer starts emanating ice. You have a small enclosure of ice around your hammer. Now there's also frozen a circle, a sphere of this flower blob around your maul.
I try and pull it away. That's my most powerful weapon.
You pull it away. With it comes a good broken off ice chunk. So now your maul is surrounded by your maul is now a flower popsicle.
I want to try and smash the ice off of my pickmole.
Smash it on the floor. It comes, the ice breaks apart. This blob is still spillowing out of the kitchen as fiercely as this thing can.
Just throw your amulet into it. See if it'll freeze it.
Fine. I detach the amulet and throw it at the blob.
You throw it at the blob, this amulet sinks into it as it starts to frost over. Very slowly.
Buy time. It's
You
gonna
guys
eventually
just
freeze
stand
over.
here and
Run.
watch this thing freeze over until it is a completely enclosed, frozen mass of flour that has now blocked the way to the kitchen.
Now, if you want your amulet back, I suggest you smash it to bits.
I take my hammer and do what dwarves do best. I start smashing.
You hack up this thing enough to get your amulet back out. Your amulet is unscathed, and this flower is non-sentient anymore.
Woo!
Yay!
Now we head out.
You head back to the dining hall. You are now back to the star room. Roll for perception.
20.
10.
Alright. Ivory, you don't hear anything. Skaith, you don't hear anything. But Ivory, you do notice the footprints lead back out into the main atrium, and they kind of wear off. But it doesn't look like, as far as you can tell, it doesn't look like they all went in the same direction.
It looks like they may have headed that way. But it also looks like they may have headed that way. Pick a direction.
What use are you? He said they went. His master is upstairs. We head upstairs.
True, okay.
Now, you can see from the map there are 2 elevators, probably large dumbwaiter systems, 2 smaller sets of staircases, and the large grandiose set of stairs at the back.
I say we take the stairs. There's too much of a chance I could shut the elevators down.
The first smart thing you've said since you were drunk. Let's go.
Where do you head?
Go ahead. Huh?
Where do you head?
We head to the grandiose staircase.
Well, you head back out the main atrium, and you see another large 3 archways that lead to the stairs at the back. Before you even get to the edge of this little miniature hallway here that leads to the grandiose staircase, you instinctively hear a warble. It kind of paws around the sides. Some sort of vocalization in the stairwell there.
Are we able to discern more from it? Like, what is it or something?
Do you want to look or do you just want to listen?
Want to look?
Alright, both of you kind of peer around the corner, and you can now make out there are a few more blurs standing at the bottom of the staircase. And the first landing there, you peek up enough to see this very frightening image of what looks like a very powerful being that is hovering on that first plane of stairs. Both of you roll intelligence to see if you know what this creature would be.
I got an 18.
Good.
I got a 15.
Both of you know that this thing looks very powerful. It is in very shimmering robes. It is levitating. It does not appear to have feet, as far as you can tell. This thing has very bony fingers. As you look even more upwards, this thing has a squid for a face. You guys are staring at what looks like a very, very powerful illithid.
Oh boy.
A mind flayer, if you will. This
Oh
thing
no.
seems to be pointing directions and, as far as you can tell, ordering these little invisible kobolds that you can guess are these blurs here. Skaith has a mental breakdown. What'd you say about flour?
It's great, and I'm all out of flour. Okay, all got used.
A few of the blurs go upstairs, a few of them rush out past the doors past you. You do notice they are just blurs. Like, you can see their form when they move. One of them stops. And both of you hold your breath as you fear it has spotted you. But you notice as it stops and kind of just, you think it looks around, it disappears completely. Like, you can only see them when they move. And it continues out into the atrium. One of them goes to the right, and one of them goes back towards the dining hall.
Well, I'm gonna try and use my, is the, Mind Flayer guy still there?
You peek around the corner, he has vanished.
Our only option is to head upstairs and try and find him. I'm assuming that's the master.
Fair enough. We keep heading upstairs, ignoring the little people.
While you cautiously make your way upstairs, go to floor number 2, to which will also change for the viewers.